Hey, everybody. Welcome to Mostly Sports Talk. This is Ken Allison, and we're going to talk a little college football here on this particular program. As it's college football season is reaching a very critical point for many of the teams, and we're going to maybe discuss some of that, and we'll talk about some of the big recordings, the big things that are going on. And that's what we're going to do here today. Of course, Clemson plays Wake Forest, and that's a big game for the Tigers. And a lot of people are afraid that they could overlook it because of that monster game that's coming up next week. Clemson is, depending on the book that you look at, the bookie, which one you look at on the internet, out at Vegas, Clemson somewhere between a 29 and a 31-point favorite here on this Tuesday. That changes when the betting happens. The reason odds go up and down is because someone bets more on one team than the other, swinging the odds, because the odds don't mean who's going to win a game. The odds mean that the bookies want the same amount of money bet on both sides so they can win on the 10% vigorish. Okay, I'll get all that going now. Taking a quick look, of course, at the undefeated teams left. Clemson is 10-0, Ohio State's 10-0, Oklahoma State is 10-0, Iowa is 10-0, and Houston is 10-0. There's going to be some changes there, especially in that Pac-12 bunch as they come along. And Ohio State has a fairly tough game, I would think, this week. Some of the big games this week that will mean something as far as the playoffs maybe are concerned are Purdue as at undefeated Iowa. Wake is at Clemson. We told you about the favorite there. Okay, Michigan State is at Ohio State, and Michigan State is a 13-point underdog. Boston College and Notre Dame will play in legendary Fenway Park. And Notre Dame is a 16-point favorite in that particular ball game. Baylor and Oklahoma State play. Oklahoma State's undefeated. Baylor lost last week to Oklahoma. They're running kind of a gauntlet now, Baylor is. And so far, that's a pick 'em. Because, nobody's overbet on either side of that thing. TCU is playing Oklahoma. And North Carolina is a 10-point favorite over Virginia Tech. Very important ball game for several reasons. North Carolina needs to keep winning in order to stay in the running for the ACC championship game, and they are on such a roll. If you're a Clemson fan, you kind of got to be worried about the North Carolina Tar Heels because, man, they're rolling after that game they had. Quickly, in our area, Wofford there's a site that'll tell you the score of the upcoming games, all right? Wofford has picked a 25-17 winner over Furman. South Carolina has picked 37-18 over the Citadel. Coastal Carolina has picked over Liberty, and that's kind of, Liberty's pretty tough. Coastal Carolina 36-27. And Charleston Southern is going out to Tuscaloosa to pick up a big payday, and Alabama's supposed to win that game at 44-6. And so, as we go along there, this all has to play out. It's all fun. It's all here to be talking about fun. And that's what it's all about. I got another little thing that's kind of fun. That's providing that I can make this thing work like I think I can. And it has to do with the Heisman race. And you just got to hear Tommy Bowden talk. Made a lot of people in this area very angry over this one today. But this is, I don't know, I just think it's interesting. Riley Tanner.
Top four. If you're voting right now, who makes the cut?
I'm going to start number 4. I'm going to start with Baylor.
All right, this is Riley Skinner. I said Tanner. Riley Skinner, former Wake Forest quarterback who now works for the ACC Digital Network.
Baylor's wide receiver, Corey Coleman. He's been a touchdown machine. He has 20 touchdowns on the year, but he averages 20 yards per catch in a firing offense in Baylor. Number 3, I like Derrick Henry because Derrick Henry's biggest games have come on the biggest stages. But I do not think he's as dynamic of a runner as Leonard Fournette. He's a beast in between the tackles. It's his yards after contact what impressed me the most about Leonard Fournette, and not to mention that he leads the NCAA in rushing yards. But the guy I like the most is Deshaun Watson. I like Deshaun Watson because, number 1, he's the best player on the number 1 team in the country. Number 2, he's the most dynamic quarterback in the country. He can do it in his arms and his legs. He's got 500 yards rushing. And when you talk about the Heisman, it's the most valuable player. And the way I evaluate most valuable is you remove him from the football field, and what does your team look like? And I think if you remove Deshaun Watson, they're a completely different team, and that's what separates them from Leonard Fournette, Derrick Henry, and Corey Coleman.
We're going to have a Deshaun Watson's conversation in just a minute, but let me start with my top 4, starting from the bottom up. From the bottom up, I go with Dalvin Cook at number 4. Dalvin Cook right now is the definition
now,
of the
this is
word
Tommy Bowden.
Explosive. For his 13 touchdowns, he's averaged 41 yards. Then I go with Trayvon Boykin at quarterback at TCU. First in the nation in total offense, 3rd in the nation in passing yards a game, and 6th in the nation in passing efficiency. Leonard Fournette right now leads the nation in yards per game and in total yardage. And then I have Derrick Henry at number 1, 6'3", 242, leads the nation in touchdowns with 17. The only reason I have him ahead of Fournette is the fact that he would let him at head-to-head competition. I do like Deshaun Watson. I've got Christian McCaffrey, the all-purpose back at Stanford, number 5. Then I have Deshaun Watson at number 6. Deshaun Watson, to me, right now, just does not have Heisman Trophy statistics. Right now,
Coach, I got to interrupt.
Thank you.
I got to interrupt. You're going to put Trayvon Boykin over Deshaun Watson 3 spots ahead?
Yeah, he's thrown for 1,100 more yards. He's thrown for 29 touchdowns.
What did Trayvon Boykin do in the most important game or the most legitimate competition that he's played this year in Oklahoma State?
I can tell you.
Was it 4 interceptions?
However, he threw for over 50%, where with Deshaun Watson...
Did they win or did they lose?
Did they win or for less than 50%.
And what did Deshaun do in the 4th quarter against Notre Dame? He stepped up in the big moment and he won that football game.
And they won when the defense made a great play. Deshaun Watson has surrounded by him 4-star wide receivers, 4-star running backs, the best defense in the country. So Deshaun Watson is not a one-man team. He's got the best support system of any player on the Heisman Trophy.
All right,
agree to disagree.
Yes, agree to disagree.
Okay, that was Tommy Bowden and Riley Skinner, and that was from the ACC Digital Network, and they were arguing there about the Heisman Trophy. The Heisman Trophy, some people go strictly, and evidently Bowden does, strictly by numbers, statistics. This, how many yards, this, and this. And Skinner goes by the most important player on a team, especially the most important player on a number 1 team, which Clemson is at this recording. So everybody has to make their own determination as to what is the criteria for the Heisman Trophy for you. And so therefore I just thought it was a pretty good thing about Bowden. And I don't think he has never shown any bitterness toward Clemson. He's always kind of built Clemson up. So I don't think that has anything to do with it. The fact that he was canned as the Clemson football coach about 7.5 years ago or so. I really don't think. So I just thought it was interesting and thought you might like to hear that. And now we have today, on Tuesday, is when the coaches, a lot of them, hold their press conferences. And this, I'm going to let you have something a little different this time. Somebody asked Dabo Swinney today about the pressures involved in being in the situation that they are right now, number 1 team in the nation, with what they hope is a fairly easy game against Wake, but Wake can be a thorn in the side of Clemson down through the years. And then they had the monster game in Columbia, and then they are in that championship game probably against a really, really good North Carolina team. But somebody asked him about pressure, and this is what he said.
I just laugh at that stuff. I mean, I understand the question. I'm not being rude. I understand the question, but my best friend is a guy named P.J. Tessman. All right, who I grew up with, and I get on the phone with him last night, and his mom, Sweet Mama, that's what we call her, Miss Tess, Sweet Mama. She just goes to the doctor and finds out that she's got very advanced lung cancer. And, you know, they don't really know what they're going to be able to do. And, you know, his job just kind of shut down, and so now he's looking for a new job, and just, you know, that's pressure. Do I feel pressure about a football game? No, man. Turn the TV on. You got 150 people killed and slaughtered in Paris. You know, you got problems in this world. Football is not pressure. I mean, this is a game. And that's the message that I try to instill in our players all the time is, golly, you know, first of all, enjoy this moment, this brief moment in your life to play a game that your body's not going to allow you to play forever, even if you go to the NFL. Enjoy this brief moment of the relationships that you have and just your time at Clemson, but also understand that through this game, you have a chance to bring some joy to people who really have pressure in their life, who really have problems. I mean, what kind of pressure do I have? I mean, give me a break. I mean, you know, it just, I love what I do. And it's important, but, you know, when you have the cross as the foundation of your life, football ain't going to bring no pressure. I promise you that. None whatsoever. Absolutely zero. That's why it's fun. You know, this is a game. It's fun. And people lose total perspective out there a lot of times. And it's great that people are passionate because football brings people together and it gives them something to kind of rally around. But there's absolutely no pressure in being the number one team in the country. It's a whole lot of fun. And we're going to try to stay there as long as we can. Whether we're 1, 2, 3, 4, all we want to do is get to that college football playoff. And, man, it's a blast. It's a blast. After 7 years of building this program, and a lot of guys, I was telling Andre Ellington yesterday, he and Jerron, I was congratulating them, and I was telling Andre, hey, man, I appreciate you for helping us put the foundation in place here. You know, we're enjoying this team. All these freshmen in here, they don't have a clue. You know, Deion Kane's at my house last Thursday. We had some of the guys over, and he's in there going, man, he's looking at my ring. Man, Coach, you only got one national championship ring? And I'm like, well, how many you got, big boy?
Okay, that was part of Dabo Swinney's press conference on this Tuesday, and trying to put some perspective into the whole game of football. Now, we all take it very, very seriously. In fact, we take it, and I'm guilty as anybody, we take it much too seriously so many times. So I just thought that was something you might find a little interest in, and especially what Deion Kane said. And he said, you only have one. Well, actually, Dabo played on a national championship team. I thought that he might have been an assistant coach on one, but I'm not sure about that. But that is the way it stacked up as far as they were concerned today. Now, going to look at the Jeff Sagarin ratings. Sagarin. This guy takes all these computers and does all these things and comes up with the rankings. I find the most interesting one that he does is the strength of schedule. Right now, he's got Alabama ranked number 1, and their strength of schedule is 3. Oklahoma is ranked number 2, and their strength of schedule is 44. Clemson is ranked number 3, and their schedule right now is 34. Ohio State is number 4. Their strength of schedule is 67. Baylor is 5, and their strength of schedule is 76. Notre Dame is number 6, and their strength of schedule is 25. Notre Dame does not play any FCS teams, and never has that I can remember off the top of my head. They've always played those Midwestern teams, and they would go nationally and play an Army or a Navy or down play Southern California or Stanford like they're going to do this year. And they've always kind of played